help us to be successful in this task. We ask that thou would be merciful unto all those who are suffering because of the natural disasters. Grant peace to this world, the peace that is beyond understanding and that comes only from thee. We ask that thou would shed thy abundant blessings upon the members of this council, those here present, the employees and citizens of this city, and all of those who need thy help. And to thee is due all glory, honor, and praise, to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto the ages of ages. Amen.
Join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
I think so. I'll call to order this session of the Cape Girardeau City Council. This is our October 16th, 2017 meeting. Thank you all for being here. Roll call, please.
Danny Estner.
Present.
Bob Fox.
Here.
Robbie Guard.
Here.
Victor Gunn.
Here.
Shelley Moore.
Here.
Harry Rediker.
Here.
Joseph Azuro.
Here.
Council will need to adopt the agenda. There are no changes to the agenda this evening.
Move to adopt.
By Gunn,
Second.
seconded by Guard. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next order of business is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I see Jessica Hill out there. Did you bring partners with you? Well, let's meet up here. Yeah, because I know this gal over here is going to want to do scripture when we get there. Before I read the proclamation, I just want to highlight and recognize the work of the director, all of the volunteers, staff, and all the volunteers through the years, the difference that they have made within our community and region. And they deserve a real thank you and job well done from staff, from council, and from all of our citizens. So that is an effort that not to be taken lightly, because it means so much for our community. So whereas over, maybe I will. Whereas over 25 years, the Safe House for Women has provided comprehensive services to women and children in the Cape Girardeau community who have experienced domestic violence. And whereas the mission of the Safe House for Women is to provide safe refuge and support services to those affected by domestic abuse and violence, to provide training and education to increase awareness of and prevention of domestic violence, and to advocate for social change and public policy that protect a person's right to live free of abuse. And whereas over 1,400 cases of domestic violence were reported in Cape Girardeau County and its surrounding counties in the past year. And whereas the Safe House for Women received more than 700 crisis calls from victims of domestic violence and provided safe shelter to 200 women and children in the past year. And whereas the Safe House for Women served an additional 350 individuals with counseling, advocacy, support services through their outreach office. Whereas domestic violence is not confined to any specific group or people, but affects people of all races, backgrounds, economic levels, education levels, family structures, ages, and religions. And whereas the crime of domestic violence violates members of our community's privacy, dignity, security, and humanity in the form of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse. And whereas advocates, professionals, volunteers, and community members concerned with domestic violence will devote the month of October to raising awareness about the causes, interventions, and prevention of this devastating crime. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Harry Rediger, Mayor of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, do hereby declare the entire month of October 2017 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and witness thereof. So Jessica, to you,
Thank you so much.
a good month.
Thank you.
And any words?
Sure. I'll just go over here so
Oh,
you
wait a
can
minute,
hear
wait a
me.
minute, wait a minute.
Pictures and then
Wait a
remarks.
minute.
Okay.
Gotta get the picture.
Big smiles, thank you.
Okay, now you can.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. We look forward to this evening every year and the opportunity to share with you about the Safe House. We have really tremendous things happening right now. Started off the month with Project Homeless Connect. The Safe House is the administrative agency for that. And we had over 400 households represented that day who received same-day services for individuals who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. We also, you may have seen over the weekend in the paper that we have reached the halfway point on the campaign to build a new shelter in Cape Girardeau. So last year, for every person that we provided shelter to, there was another person we could not provide shelter to because we were full or because we were not handicapped accessible. And we just have to change that. So many of our clients are coming from right here in Cape Girardeau County. So their support system, their educational system, and their employment is here, and we need to keep them here. So we're very excited about the progress that we've made in our campaign. Actually, so Philip Smith, who's here tonight, is our architect, and we are going to open bids tomorrow and see who is going to be joining us in that process, and hope to break ground at some point in the future at our new yet still undisclosed location. But it is right here in Cape Girardeau, and we're very excited about the opportunities that is going to provide. So we appreciate the support of the City of Cape Girardeau, of our Cape Girardeau Police Department, and everyone who works alongside us every day. So thank you very much. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you again, Jessica, for all you do and your dedication. Okay, Chief Ennis. Our rescue team that have departed and worked and back. We got an acknowledgement, a little presentation. Welcome.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I'll appreciate the opportunity to recognize these gentlemen and their work. And I'll have Battalion Chief Brad Dillow start this way. Just wanted, and while he's doing that, Chief Blair and I, are both transplants, and we never miss the opportunity to truly tell you all that how impressed and proud we are. Throughout our career, we've gotten the opportunity to travel a little bit and see and work with other law enforcement and fire departments across the country, and truly the quality of services delivered by the Cape Girardeau police officers and firefighters for the relatively small resources we have is just phenomenal. Normally, fire and EMS and rescue work is a local issue. And when an incident occurs that goes beyond the local resources, we can tap into a statewide mutual aid plan and get help from across the state, or send our people out throughout the state to help out. And when an incident occurs that goes beyond the state's capabilities, we have a national response plan. We are blessed here in Cape Girardeau. We always like to say we're a regional hub, and we are a regional hub for emergency services as well. Our firefighters, along with firefighters in Jackson and Sykeston and Kennett and Poplar Bluff, we have a regional response team. We call it a Homeland Security Response Team, or technical special operations, besides just fire and EMS. These are the floods and the earthquakes and the building collapses and so forth. So we have that component. We've responded throughout the state on different calls. And as you know, here recently, with the floods in Texas, we were also requested for, once you get to the national level, in this case, the state of Texas would send out requests to other states, and those states would fill those. So we were part of the Missouri's response down to Texas, and I'm going to let Chief Dillow, Battalion Chief Dillow, is in charge of our special operations team and was deployed with them, and he's going to give you a little overview of that operation.
Brad, welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Our discussions with the state started around the end of August on Hurricane Harvey and what was coming in and stuff. And so we sent in our information on what we could offer them. And on August 30th, that call came about 4:30 in the afternoon. And by 8:30, we was rolling to Texas, and we drove for 14 hours straight, taking turns, might I add that. So we got there around 10 or so in the morning, early that next morning. We reported into College Station, Texas, which was the staging area for the state for that disaster. From there, we was paired up with other Missouri teams, which consist of Kansas City Fire Department and Central Jackson County Fire Protection District. We sent 8 people from the Cape Girardeau Fire Department, 2 other firefighters from Jackson, and then we was paired up with the other departments, which brought us up to around a 27-person strike team. From there, we went to, let's see, where did we go? Down to Fort Bend County is where we was deployed to at that point. We was there for a day or 2, and then we was sent to Houston. In Houston, we was in the area of I-10 and Buffalo Bayou, where we worked down there. We searched 450 houses in that flooded area. We brought out 19 rescues and brought out 2 pets during that time period. So as you can see, some of the pictures of what we encountered up down there. And one thing I would like to add is that, you know, when we go on deployments, whether it be in Texas or to Kennett for a tornado or wherever, we bring back knowledge to our city and to our department and stuff. So if we ever encounter a disaster of something of this nature, we have knowledge. We've been there. We've seen what works, what doesn't work. We talk to people and stuff. So there's a lot of benefit that comes even back to our community. Another thing I'd like to recognize, you know, we're here for the 8 people that went down, and but it's really a community and a team effort that put us 8 people down there, from our families, our wives, our kids that made the sacrifices of us being gone, to you folks giving us the equipment that we need, the taxpayers and everything. The firemen that stayed behind and covered our shifts. It was just so it's not just about us 8, it's about this whole community that made this possible. So I say thank you to everybody out there on that part. So any questions? And again, I'm just trying to keep it brief and an overview of what we did down there.
Well, we'd like to have, and thank you. And we were going to do this after you got back, and lo and behold, the night that we were going to do it, team was deployed on a traffic accident and spill, and I think south on 55, and they couldn't do it again. So it's just unusual that we are able to get them here. So we want to say thank you. We want to recognize them. Those of you that are here, if you'd come up, please.
And tonight, Assistant Chief Hashrider, which went down with us, he was unable to be here, and Captain Mike McElmore.
Okay.
Other than that, everybody's
Okay. Well, we certainly want to recognize you and thank you for your efforts representing our city. It will come home to roost, as Battalion Chief said. You know, we regularly get mutual aid, but it's usually pretty local. But
Yes.
You never know. You never know when something's going to happen where but I know not only do we appreciate you, but those 400 homes that were checked and the 19 rescues and even the pet, boy, they benefited from when you were down there. So we very much want to recognize you, acknowledge you, and thank you for your service to our state.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Communications and reports.
Mayor, we got one other presentation.
We do?
Yes.
I don't know if everybody knew it or not, but our mayor had a birthday this last, and,
It's over.
and he thought it was over, but we thought we'd have a little fun. This is a fun little resolution, a proclamation that was put together. Says, whereas Harry Rediger was born on October 11, 1937.
Really?
In April of 2010, Harry Rediger was elected mayor. Now, therefore, be resolved by Scott Meyer, do hereby recognize and honor Mr. Rediger on his 80th birthday and proclaim the 16th day of October as Harry Rediger Husker Day. This honor, I bestow the Golden Cap of Pride to the Honorable Mayor. And to this cause, I decree that the Golden Cap of Pride be placed on top of his head and to remain there the remainder of these proceedings.
I don't think so.
Thank you very much.
Now then, if they had,
Husker, always a corn.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not real proud of them this year either.
now if they had beat Ohio State, you would have won.
I would have won it all night, yeah. Thank you very much. You interrupted, all right?
I did. Second time I've surprised you.
Yeah, that is for the second time. Well, thank you very much. It's been a great week and 80 years, and 40 of those have been spent in Cape Girardeau. Lived in Cape Girardeau longer than anywhere else in my life, including my home state. And it's been a great community, a great city, a great area in which to live, work, and volunteer. And all of my work through the years of volunteering and my years on planning and zoning, and now the years I've been mayor have been paying it forward, but it's been really enjoyable too. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. We'll allow it to just be
Okay.
in place then.
I'll take it home and wear it with pride. I want to talk about Homeless Connect, and Jessica kind of took care of that. Homeless Connect at Osage the 6th, I participated in the opening of that. Served 400 families there that day in varying, it says Homeless Connect, but there's a lot more than homeless there. Not just people that in need. And all the agencies and groups that came together in one place to serve 400 families with it. And every year this is done. And with all the volunteers and everything, it's a very rewarding day. I also participated in an event at Ivor Square at the Common Pleas Courthouse, urging our citizens to vote on the grant award that we got that would redo and renovate and improve Ivor Square at Common Pleas Courthouse. That goes on through the 31st as we vote every day, 5 times a day. Per email address. And I also would highlight Spaghetti Day that comes up next month. Not too early to start talking about Spaghetti Day as we through the Parks Foundation raise a lot of money to further the cause and improve our parks. And then one other one on mine, petitions are open to be picked up at City Hall for mayor and council positions, and I would highlight that to interested citizens as we move toward the filing and election time in April of 2018. Other communications for council?
I would just mention our partners, Southeast Missouri State University had thousands in town this last weekend for homecoming. Thank you to Chief Blair and his crew for administering the parade, so to speak, and to Chief Ennis and his crew. The university was very pleased with the turnout this year and got a victory on Saturday.
Big event, yep. Anyone else? Councilman
Mayor, I
Fox.
had the pleasure of being with Chief Blair and touring our new police station as it nears completion, and the municipal court as part of that building. It's an impressive facility, and those of you who have not had a chance to go through it need to do so, because it is enlightening as to the things that go into a building involving security and involving all the things that that you need to have a courthouse in a building and a jail in a building and everything else. It's really going to be impressive, and it's something our citizens will really be proud of when it's finished.
And to be completed at the end of the year and ready for occupancy in March, we heard this evening. So
Yes.
March 18 will be a
The other thing
exciting time.
I got to do, I had a day off and I spent the whole day touring with Mr. Steve Cook and touring what is our city's largest department, and that's Public Works. And you talk about homecoming, and I looked out there and I saw all that trash all over everywhere, and I thought, there goes Public Works again. They're gonna be busy picking all that stuff up, and people think of Public Works and they don't think of all the things that go in to that whole department. When you talk about trash, is just one thing. You've got wastewater, you've got recycling, you've got sewer main, streets, stormwater. When you consider all of those things that they do, it's unbelievable. And then I got to tour the water plant, the water facility, the distribution system, the whole works. And it took a full day, and I still probably didn't see everything. But I want to commend Steve Cook for his excellence. His employees they're just like all city employees. They're dedicated, and they have a commitment to excellence, and I'm just proud that I got to do it. So thanks, Steve.
Good, thanks. Anyone else?
Mayor, I see we have 2 Boy Scouts here.
That's
I'd
good.
like for them to come up and, is there 3? I couldn't see one.
4.
Oh, my. Well, if they could all come up, tell us a little bit about themselves and if they're learning anything.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Leadership.
Well, welcome.
We are Den 3 from Pac 20, and these boys are in the 5th grade. In February, they will be crossing over from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts. So attending a city council meeting and talking to government officials was part of their advancement. So they're very close to becoming Boy Scouts. So
Very good.
Congratulations.
And their names. Introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Julina Diaz, D-U-L-I-N-A.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask a question about the recycling program here in Cape. How people litter everywhere and stuff. And is there a better way to improve the recycling?
Well, there certainly is, and this gentleman back here in the white shirt, Mr. Steve Cook, the Councilman Fox was talking about, is in charge of our recycling. And recycling is only as good as our citizens respond to it. So you are already a good citizen in that you're thinking about recycling.
Absolutely.
Recycling is very, very important to our environment. It's important to our community. It's important to all of our neighbors. And anytime you see or talk to a neighbor, be sure and encourage them to recycle. And as you see litter around, and you learn that through as you grow up, when you see litter around, start a trend and pick it up. And maybe the next person by you, around you, will pick up the next one. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. I've met a lot of scouts that come here. Not many of them have questions when they come to us. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for doing that.
The middle school's actually addressing this issue.
Good,
I
great.
think some of the city employees actually came to the middle school last week, so.
Is that right?
Go ahead and introduce yourself. My name's Jane Austin.
Okay.
I'm 11 years old. He doesn't really know what to ask.
Oh, you don't have to ask anything. We just want to know who you are.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to.
We do want to hear all your names.
Yep. Now the next.
I'm Edward James Alexander, and I couldn't think of any questions.
Okay, that's fine.
That's fine.
My name is Chase Roberts, and I don't have questions.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you all for being here. I also would like to recognize also would like to recognize the leaders who take a lot of their time to help train boys. That's exactly right. In Boy Scouts and the Girls and Girl Scouts and all of our youth, and parents who and parents who not only help but encourage their children to go through these programs as they grow and think about questions that coming through, like recycling and being good citizens and serving others and being good neighbors. So thank you all for being here. And Councilman Mazzara, thank you for the introduction. Anyone else on communications?
Might just mention.
Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to mention really quickly, last meeting I missed because I was at Purpose Built Communities, their national conference, and just to hit a few of the high points that were there. The final speaker's name was Michael Sorrell. He's the president of Paul Quinn College in Dallas, and he said something that really hit home with me. He said that the struggle is intended to be a temporary state. It was never intended to be a permanent state. And if we look at generational poverty, that's what it becomes, is a permanent state. And so it really spoke to me that really our job as leaders is to try to end that generational poverty and do what we can. Purpose-built model has shown that it can do that. And so we continue to explore those things and work with those things moving forward. I know we're excited about continuing to move that forward. One of the things that some of the key things they also talked about was early childhood centers are really one of the big keys. And so we had some folks from the school system there, and they were very interested in that and finding out how can we move forward with an early childhood, early learning center. Financing, we went to a lot of classes that had financing and how can we finance these improvements and make that happen, and how do we work with foundations and banks and all of those things. Also just reiterated what we already knew, that the community quarterback group is an absolute key to this, and we continue to try to identify leaders to help us lead the community quarterback group, and that's really a key thing. And then and there's a lot more, but just lastly, one of the things that struck me was they said during the course of the meeting, I can't remember who said it, but they said that leaders invest in undervalued assets. And whether that's in looking at the stock market or looking in our community, if you look at undervalued assets, if that's where you can make your investments, you get the best return. And so really that's what we're looking to do, is to try to look for those undervalued assets and make them into gems. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for sending me, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity.
We are on a journey there. It's a long extended journey, but we are on the journey. Okay, we have one public hearing tonight. Public hearing to consider the proposed voluntary annexation of property located on Weston Street into the city of limits, as requested by the Humane Society of Southeast Missouri, and the proposed zoning of the same property to M1 Light Manufacturing Industrial District. This public hearing is open for anyone to appear before the council. Yes, sir.
Good evening, guys, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. I'm Sam Herndon. I'm a member of the board of directors of the Humane Society. I'll also be the person heading the capital expansion program we're trying to do. I don't know how many of you have ever had a chance to come to our shelter, but it's upwards of 40 years old. Frankly, it was not the best design project when it was originally built. We didn't build it. We bought it, and tens of thousands of animals have been saved through that building. But it's time, with the regulations we have to deal with, disease and the things that we have to work with, and the continuing influx of animals every day. We need a new facility. We were fortunate that the 2 lots directly next to us became available, and we, through benefactors, over the years, we've accumulated a little bit of money, nowhere near what we need, but enough to get the ball rolling anyway. We purchased those 2 lots. That's the lots that we're talking about. Obviously, we want to be included in the city of Cape for fire and police protection. But the sewer lines and the water lines run directly between the property we have now and the property we've bought. And we need to tap into that. So we need this. This is one of the early steps of our program. We have to get this approved so that Philip can go to work on our plans, and we can get our site survey done, and we can begin to move forward towards our project. Basically, what we're going to try to do is double the size of the shelter. Half will be new. That will become the adoption center. It's a little better than we've ever had. We hope to have offices. Our people have no place to work. Our employees have no place to eat their lunch. They have no bathrooms to go to of their own. They have to use the public restrooms. No chance. If you've ever worked in an environment with 50 dogs barking 24/7, sometimes you just need to step outside and catch your breath. We'll have a conference room. We'll have a break area, locker room for them to put their stuff. The folks that run this shelter, we're eventually going to be about 4 of them. Will have their own offices so they can actually sit down and work. Right now, they work around the corner from the front desk in a cubbyhole. I've got closets in my house bigger than their offices are. So it will also be all indoors. We want to fight weather for energy efficiency. It'll meet all federal regulations and state regulations for size to give the animals room to be healthy. Our goal is to reach no-kill status. To be a no-kill shelter, you have to be 88% adoptions of the animals that come in, or 90%. We are at 88 currently on dogs. This will drive us over the top as a no-kill shelter. The cats population in this area, there's some work to be done. We're working diligently on it. We have some benefactors that really help us with that, but that's a little bit bigger project. But this will help tremendously with that. We'll have a much better facility for us to be able to hold, especially older cats, while we try to find them a home. Then we're going to go back and redevelop the old building into a rescue center where incoming animals will go there. We'll leave them there till we can get them healthy, get them back in shape, so we can get them adjusted, and then we'll transfer them to the new facility to be adopted out. We really need your support for this. So, any questions I can answer?
Any questions, council? Thank you for your
Good. Thank you
service
very
and
much.
dedication to the Humane Society. Anyone else to appear before the council on this subject? Council, since they're here, let's go to items 9 and 10 on new ordinances. Number 9, Bill number 17-160, an ordinance annexing unincorporated land into the city limits of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, located along Weston Street upon the request of the Humane Society of Southeast Missouri. First reading. Moved by Fox. And seconded by Essner. Any discussion? We are fortunate to have an active Humane Society in our city for our citizens, for our city and our citizens. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed? And a related item, bill number 17-161, an ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinance, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by zoning property located along Weston Street in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, as M1 Light Manufacturing Industrial District. So moved by Guard and seconded by Fox. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, thank you. Good luck, best fortunes.
Look forward to having y'all come out to your new facility.
Okay, we will be there.
Mr. Mayor, the last item is also related.
Yeah, but we'll do that. We can do that. Anyone else to appear before the council on any item that is on the agenda? I don't see anyone left. Consent agenda.
Number 17-152, an ordinance approving the record plat of Red Hawk Commons Phase 3, an ordinance approving the record plat of Red Hawk Commons Phase 3. Bill number 17-153, an ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by changing the zoning of property located at 1237 North Water Street in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, from R2 to M1. An ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by changing the zoning of property located at 1237 North Water Street in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, from R2 to M1. Number 17-154, an ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by changing the zoning of property located on Cardrona Drive in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, from R2 to R1. An ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by changing the zoning of property located on Cardrona Drive in the city and county of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, from R2 to R1. Number 17-157, a resolution authorizing a grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice for the body-worn camera policy and implementation program and authorizing city manager to execute all necessary grant documents. Number 17-159, a resolution authorizing city manager to execute a license and indemnity agreement with Old Town Cape Inc. to place banners on light poles in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Council, you've heard the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? So moved by Fox, seconded by Guard. Discussion?
I'd like to, mark my vote on number 3, in abstention to conflict of interest. And with regard to the, body cameras, in my tour with Wes, they were testing some of those out. The technology looks to be phenomenal, what they can do with those. iCloud-based systems and some of that, I think that's gonna be, very helpful to the officers. So,
Yeah, I'm particularly pleased with item 6 and the grant as some funds that will help in the costs of this addition that is needed and has been vetted thoroughly by our public safety folks. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed? Number 8, new ordinances. Bill number 17-158, an ordinance amending section 29-69 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri relating to water service lines. First read. So moved by Fox.
Second.
And seconded by Moore. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed? And number 11, again, a related issue to 9 and 10, the Humane Society issues, and this will be setting them in officially an award. Bill number 17-162, an ordinance extending the boundaries of Ward 4 to include property newly annexed into the city limits of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. First read. So moved by Guard.
Second.
Seconded by Zura. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? 2 appointments tonight, Council. Number 12, appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission, and as we visited at our study session, those names would be, as recommended, Sharon Giebler and Michael Cervantes. If I could have a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Gunn and seconded by Guard. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And number 13, appointments to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and these are all be reappointments: Dan Presson, Kevin Knoll, and Pete Fraser. So moved by Fox.
Second.
And seconded by Essner. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Is there any other business come before us?
Move to adjourn.
By Gunn.
Second.
Seconded by Guard. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned. Well, thank you very much. I think it's finally over.
I finally went to Omaha, and I